to go with this podcast. Let's see. Gotta move this down just a little bit. And I don't know what's up with the. Hold on. Okay, now you can see it a little better. And it says, I hate people. And it's perfect for this podcast. So, what we're going to be talking about on this podcast is Michael Jackson. And I saw the movie, loved the movie, but as a real Michael Jackson fan, I love Jafar Jackson. He was amazing. Um, but what I really wanted to see, like, no, not really what I wanted to see. What if you're not a real Michael fan, then you don't know this movie, and it's called The American Dream or something like that. The Jackson's American Dream movie, and they played it on VH1, and that was such a good fucking movie. And I believe they deep dived in a number of things in that movie. You saw a little more of what went on throughout the years when they were younger and so on and so forth. And Michael did have input in that movie. So I believe that that was a little more accurate about the childhood and everything else. But I'm not saying that the Michael movie was bad because it was not bad. I enjoyed it. I danced my ass off. I sang my ass off and I loved it. But they could have done a little more with that because in the movie they have it where like Michael's the one getting beat and everything like that, which wasn't really the case because Michael was usually always on point. Marlon was the one who got it the worst because he couldn't keep up with certain dance moves like Michael, and he would get have to get a switch off the tree and get his ass whooped till he got it right. And there is a scene where he does go after Michael, but he's like, he's fast as a rabbit, I can't catch him. And Michael had his share getting his ass whooped. You didn't see it too much in that movie, but you know, Janet was a part of that movie. And the only thing that disappointed me about this movie was they left out a lot of stuff about Diana Ross. She was a big factor in Michael's life, and I don't understand why they wouldn't let her be a part of the movie. Um, so you had that. Um, you know, they could have done a little more with the Motown situation and showed how close Michael got with Barry Gordy and things like that. There was just certain things that I feel like they could have added to the movie that made it uh, even better. But the only reason why it got bad reviews from critics is because they just wanted to focus on Michael being a pedophile. And that was their whole thing. Michael has to be a pedophile. And we didn't, you know, uh, we don't need to hear that because he was found innocent, not guilty of all 14 charges. Why does that need to be in there? Now, and it was well known that they weren't even they filmed the movie with all that stuff in it, but found out, especially with the Chandlers, that they can't use that in the movie. So they cut most of the movie they made and only made it up to Michael Jackson's 1987, 88 bad uh tour. And that was obviously before the allegations. So, as a critic, why would you give the bad review like, oh, you didn't cover the children? It was everywhere that they could not cover that because it could not legally be put in the movie. Now, when I know they're doing a second one now because of how crazy blown up this movie went. Almost $1 billion it made. It's the highest grossing biographical movie ever at this point right now. He broke some more records and he's still breaking records with his music and everything else. Like I said, there is Jesus and then there's Michael Jackson because Michael Jackson is the most famous person on this planet. You can go to a non speaking country and play a Michael Jackson song and they know exactly who you're talking about. Also, Michael was the best guy when it came to his fans. You never see any of these newbies that are out. They all treat their fans like shit. They have certain ones where, for publicity, they act like whatever. But, when people jump on stage, Michael would hug them, embrace them, kiss them, whatever. And these people, someone jumps on stage, they're like, ew, get away from me. Like, can you get this crazy fucker away from me? Or if people are wanting autographs, they skip by them, or they're like, no, there's only going to be one at a time, or I'm not doing this at all. And they have attitudes. Michael never did that. He was always 100% all about his fans because he knew that without them he would be nothing. And none of these artists now or even movie stars or anything like him. And that's why nobody will ever surpass him, and he will be the greatest entertainer of all time, now and then, in even in death, because he loved his fans. You could run and jump to him and he would do whatever. He would give you whatever. There's even times Mike would say, "Let's go fishing," which meant pick up girls, and his bodyguards would do it, and whatever. And everybody's like, "Oh, Michael's gay." Yeah, Michael was not gay. I believe it was Tito who said, "You think Michael's gay? Leave your wife with Michael for one night, and I guarantee you ain't gonna have your wife no more." Because Michael had swag. And, sorry, I had to drink a drink. Um, you know, Michael had a sex appeal about him. And I think what made it even better is that he loved his fans. He would yell at his bodyguards at times, don't touch her, don't push her, stop. You don't see any famous people that act like that anymore. You can look it up yourself. Uh look up Drake and see if there's any videos of people popping up on stage. He didn't give a fuck. Yo, security, get them off. Or, whatever. There are no artists that are like him. If I ever became famous, I would do anything for my fans reasonably. Obviously, I wouldn't be, if I had somewhere to go, I wouldn't be able to be outside signing everybody's autograph, but I would sign enough and say, when I come back out, I'll sign as many more as I can. But that's it. I would be devoted to them because they are the reason why I am the way I am today. So now to this bullshit. We got James Safechuck. We have Wade Robson, and now we have the Casio family. And now they all want to sue Michael's estate for money because this is all about money. And if it's not, then when he was alive, you had plenty of opportunities to call him out and put him in jail. And why didn't you? Because I know one thing from the Castillo side of the family and what they're doing. There was no threats made to them. They could have easily told their parents, and you're telling me all three of these siblings were molested and they never talked to each other about it? Never? Come on now. Like, seriously? And they made an album and shit didn't work out and they didn't get no money. And now they want money. That's all this is about. It's always been about money because Michael, like he even said himself, the biggest mistake he ever did was not going to court for the Chandler case. Because when he settled that case for 20 something $1 million, then everybody went, ooh, I could do that. And I'm necessarily not even blaming the kids because these kids were young enough where they can be brainwashed. They don't know. It's the fucking parents that I blame. Jordy Chandler was at his father's practice. He was put under sedation with, you know, I guess you could call it a truth serum or whatever. And he gave this to his son and then brought up all these things about Michael Jackson and his son said, "Yeah, he did this, he did that, whatever." And then didn't remember saying any of it. And his father was a failed screenwriter. He wanted to be famous and instead of wanting criminal justice, because I wouldn't have gave a fuck if I find out Michael Jackson molested my kid. I want you to go to jail. I don't give a fuck about your money. Maybe afterwards I'd sue you in a civil trial and get money for my pain, anguish, embarrassment, and so on and so forth. That's different to to do a civil case after something like that. But the fact that your son getting molested was worth $22 million. There's got to be parents on here that agree. If you find out your kid is molested, you want that motherfucker in jail. Fuck the money. You want him in jail. Okay? And none of that happens. And then other people come out after he died, like Wade Robson. He wanted to be a dancer in the Circus Soleil or choreograph it. They said no, they're going in another direction. After that, Finding Neverland comes out and then claims, oh, I didn't have any memory of it. And then when my son was born, it all flooded back to me. Bullshit. Bullshit. You went in 2005, got on a stand as a grown ass man, and you told them that nothing happened. You perjured yourself on the fucking stand. First of all, I don't know how he got away with not going to jail for that. I think there's a statute of limitations on that, though. So when he did come out and say he did, I don't think they could have done anything anymore. But how are we supposed to fucking believe you? And then James Safechuck talking about he was molested in 92 on the railroad that Michael had in his backyard. According to security, which I've researched, and I'm going to have him on here, you can hear some of the snippets on here. That wasn't even created yet. So, how'd you get molested on a train at Neverland when that wasn't even built yet? And then Wade Robson wanted to marry his wife in Neverland. He molested you and did all this fucked up shit to you, and you want to go to Neverland to get married? What the fuck is that about? I have to, because a couple of them I deleted because I was recording an episode and then it got fucked up. Uh, oh, come on, stupid. I'm going to find it real quick. Okay, I found it again. Okay. So, I have quite a few things that I'm going to play. If I end up having a part two, I will, but I think I can fit this all in. I might run this might be the longest podcast I do because there's so much information. I don't know if I want to split it up into Michael part one and part two. I have to think that over. It depends how long I go over on this. So, um, I want to also look up. Oh, come on. Search it again. Hold on. Um, okay, I found it. And I have some Save Chuck uh things that he says. Um, but I want to start before I do anything with the Casios. I want to start. I want to start with this. Hold on. Okay. I see. Now, this is Jordy Chenier actually told investigators at first, Michael never touched me. My dad wanted money. Here's this video.
Jordy Chandler was insisting that Michael had never touched him. Anthony Pellicano, who was Michael's private investigator, Pellicano goes around to interview Jordy Chandler and questions him for about an hour, I believe, and asks him all sorts of pointed and very direct questions. Have you ever seen Michael Jackson naked? Have you ever been naked in bed with Michael Jackson? Has he ever touched you? Etc., etc. And Jordy Chandler says no to everything. At the end of the conversation, Jordy Chandler reiterates that Michael's never done anything wrong to him and says that his dad is just trying to get money.
Now, that is Jordy Chandler saying that and saying it never happened and it was money hungry bullshit. So then here is Jordy Chandler by himself talking.
I stood in there, I asked him if I could stay.
Oh, wait, no, this is, hold on. Let me fast forward. Okay, here, this is Macaulay Culkin defending him.
Is that, they go, you slept in the same bedroom as him. It's like, I don't think you understand. Michael Jackson's bedroom is 2 stories. And it has like 3 bathrooms and this and that. So when I slept in his bedroom, yeah, but you have to understand the whole scenario. And the thing is with Michael is that he's not very good at explaining himself. And he never really has been because he's not a very social person.
Him and I hung out and talked pretty much all night. Got a couple hours of sleep. I wake.
Now this is Aaron Carter talking. Now it's Macaulay Culkin talking. Now it's Aaron Carter.
Wake up, but he's not even in the room. I was like, nothing. And I looked at him right now. I said, nothing happened. I said, Michael was flirting with girls right in front of me. I am not going to do anything sexual to a child. It's not where my heart is. I would slit my wrist first. I would never do anything like that. That's not Michael Jackson. I'm sorry.
Never heard of him. Never. It's not in him. No way.
And now that is Debbie Rowe talking.
Never do anything inappropriate with a child. It's the furthest thing from his mind. When those allegations came, 93, I think it was devastated.
When Michael Jackson was a pedophilia, what?
I was the first and the only celebrity at the time in 1993 to come out and say.
And now this is Corey Feldman.
Absolutely not. Mm-hmm. Absolutely not. He never touched me. He never touched anybody, as far as I know.
And again, it was 70-plus sheriffs raided Neverland. They found a horse.
And now this is Michael Jackson's lawyer from the 2005 trial.
Of Playboy, Penthouse, and what I call girly magazines. Right. And they didn't know how to explain this because they knew this could help the defense in explaining he's not a pedophile. He's not someone who's enraptured with young males. Mm-hmm. He's a heterosexual male who likes to look at beautiful women who are naked.
What is a 36-year-old man doing?
And that is all I'm going to give you out of that, because the rest, why are you letting, you're a 36-year-old man, why are you letting boys sleep in your bed? Do I agree that he should have had boys in his bed? No. Okay, I'm going to be logical. Whatever. Would I let my daughter sleep in bed with Michael Jackson? I don't know. I don't think so. But at the same time, Michael Jackson's bedroom is not like a regular person's bedroom. Michael's bedroom was a fucking castle. It's an enormous room, and it's not like they were sleeping like how me and my daughter sleep in my bed in my room, because we're pretty. Well, actually, we don't have to be pretty close because I have a California king bed. But she sleeps right next to me on the bed, and whatever. Michael Jackson, come on. The guy fucking spent trillions of dollars on crazy shit. His bed is probably 10 times bigger than mine. His whole room is probably bigger than my whole fucking house. And he's even admitted that he would let the kids sleep in the bed and he would sleep on the floor. There's nothing wrong with that. If I was like, Michael, hey, can I see your room just to make sure everything's safe and I'm not worried about my kid or anything like that, where you be sleeping? On the floor? Oh, okay, that's fine. And I would let it go. I would just say, out of convenience, do you mind if I have a room next to yours in case anything, she needs me, whatever, blah, blah, blah. He said he used to give these kids milk, cookies, whatever. They'd put on a movie, they'd watch a movie, hang out. Is it typical for a grown-ass man to hang out with kids? No. But Michael Jackson never had a fucking childhood. He felt more safe around children because he still had a children mentality. And that's what people aren't understanding. They're twisting everything to make shit sexual, and it's not sexual. I'm not biased because I've been in love with Michael Jackson my whole life. But if I deep down in my heart believed he was doing some fuck shit with kids, I would be on here giving you a completely different podcast. But I know everything about Michael. I have every fucking CD the guy's ever made. I researched the shit out of everything, and Martin Bashir fucked him over and told him, let me see. I don't have it, but in the interview with his bodyguard, he said Martin Bashir set that up and told Michael, "Oh, you're not a pedophile. You don't have to worry about that. Let Avizo hold your hand and let him put his head on your shoulder." He did that. Michael had nothing to do with that. He was just like, "Oh, okay, if that, will look good, then fine." He set him up and made him look like a fucking clown. And Michael Jackson trusted him because of the piece that he did on Princess Diana. But little did anybody know that Martin Bashir's career went down the shit tubes because he was completely unethical and he was a piece of shit. And now he can't get hired anywhere in media because nobody wants to deal with his shit. So now I want to get into the Wade Robinson changing of the story.
Abuse was long past the statute of limitations. So the theory of their lawsuit was that Michael Jackson's companies had been negligent in failing to prevent Michael Jackson from abusing them. And because the companies still exist and the estate still exists, that was the theory of the lawsuit. It was an extreme stretch. And the lawsuits were actually both dismissed. I believe that Wade Robson initially claimed something at $1.5 billion from Michael Jackson's.
Now, isn't that a little crazy? I get maybe you want $2 million or something like that. You want $150 billion or $1 million. What the fuck? What's that gonna do? That just shows me that your career went into the shitter when you started accusing Michael Jackson of these things because nobody wanted to work with you. You were making moves with Britney Spears and NSYNC. You were a prominent choreographer. If you just stayed doing what the fuck you were doing and minding your business, you would have been fine. but then you're going to go and disgrace him after he died. Nobody wants to work with you. And that's why he's suing for money, because he's blaming this situation on Michael. Oh, I got molested, and now nobody wants to hire me or do anything with me because of this, so I need $150 million. No, the fuck you don't. You don't need that much money. Nobody needs that much money. I could understand if you were like, you know what, for my pain and suffering, I want about $1.5 million or 2 million, something in a regular normal price range for something like that. But you want $150 million or $1 billion? Like, get the what? Are you insane? That's just too much. You just want to get rich off of the fact that Michael abused you and you had every opportunity to put his ass in jail. You went on the stand as a grown ass. It wasn't like he was a little kid when he went on the stand. He was a grown ass fucking man. Knew right from wrong. Knew that, okay, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be doing that. You know, whatever he says, oh, Michael brainwashed me and said we would all go to jail and blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, when you grew up and you experienced the world, you knew that that was not going to happen to you. And with the Avisos coming forward and taking him to court, that should have been the, oh, well, I should admit that he did this to me too because this kid can do it. No, instead, if this was true, you went against the kid that supposedly had the same sexual experience as you. So you offered that kid up to the fucking sharks and sat there and said, no, Michael did nothing to me. And I have Tom Mesereau, Michael Jackson's lawyer, who says he was the best defense witness we had. You knew right from wrong then. You should have fucking said it. The prosecutors grilled him. He didn't budge. He was like, you know, this never happened. James Shafechuk wrote a letter because he didn't want to go into court, and he said nothing ever happened. Why is it that you two are grown adults and you didn't forget what happened to you, but you lied about it? Why would you fucking do that? And then you could have brought up your civil case after the fact. But then that's even stupid. If you brought it up and said he did it, then you could have went and pressed your own charges, got him convicted, and then went after his estate. But you didn't do that. And all these people, money. If my kid gets molested by anybody, I don't give a fuck if they're poor, rich, whatever, I'm making sure you go to fucking jail. And if you are rich, when you're in jail, I'm taking all of your fucking money too, bitch. Here's the rest of this.
State and companies in his lawsuit because he claimed that the abuse had made him unable to launch his show business career, which otherwise would have been extremely successful. So the lawsuits are a real stretch, and they are a money grab, and they were eventually dismissed. Now, California has updated its laws and changed the statute of limitations, so Robson and Shafechuk's lawsuits have been revived and may now go to trial. And so then, they told their story in 2019 in the, documentary or the interview series. And the thing is, it's not a documentary because it doesn't even attempt to provide any sort of balance in that part in that documentary. They're not cross-questioned. They don't go into the timeline. They don't go into all the statements that they made supporting Michael Jackson over the years. But when I watched it at the end of the documentary, I thought, these guys are that they are flawed and they have questionable motives. I'm not sure if I can completely trust them, but the pattern that they described was consistent with
Totally.
the statements of many other accusers.
And the thing is, why it sounds the same as all these other victims, because they're all using the same shit from the other one and saying he did it to them. So one comes out and says, Michael did this to me, he made me drink his pee, or he fondled with me, or he did this and that, blah, blah, blah. That's all out in the public. So now what do? You say the same exact thing that person said. And then the other person says the same thing that person says. It's not hard to do that. It's not hard to do that at all. And then, you got some people that add shit on for special effects, like the Casio family, which I'm going to get to in a minute. But they, it's not, it's very simple to say those things. And it's very simple to make up your own things. You could, for all we know, they went to the library and searched up books about minors and pedophiles and whatever, and what pedophiles do to children, and they could have took that from there and went on about it. But you notice how every single time they all say the goddamn same thing over and over and over and over. Michael did this, the Jesus juice and whatever. The only people who have a different fucking story of what they did is the Casio family. They go fucking overboard. But the only thing that I went with Wade Robson that went overboard for me was when he said that Michael fucked him in his ass and he bled a little, and Michael called him or drove him down to wherever he was at and said, you need to go into your laundry basket and check and see if there's blood in your underwear, because if there is, you need to hide it from your mom. What? That doesn't make sense to me, because why wouldn't have Michael taken your boxers and kept them with him and let you go without boxers so that he was safe, or had his housemates wash your underwear for you before you left and went home? Why would he let you go home in those, knowing that could happen and whatever? And never once does Wade Robson explain, how bad this hurts and da-da-da-da-da. I think he might have said it hurt a little bit or whatever, but he didn't really get too much into it. And, and then you hear they're all like, oh, when the new boy comes around, he totally, like, I'm not the center of attention anymore. And I was, heartbroken because I didn't want anybody else to have the attention that I got and whatever. So you were happy about getting molested? Because I would think if a new person came in and I was like not feeling what Michael was doing and he's doing it to somebody else, thank God it's not me. That should be the first thing that pops into your head. You don't like what he's doing, then if he's doing it to someone else, be happy he's not doing it to you. But apparently you wanted him to do it to you. So I just don't understand. I don't understand. And it is absolutely ridiculous. Now, here's Wade Robinson changing his story.
Details were
But-
consistent.
But all those had been public prior to 2013 and 2014 or 15 when they filed their lawsuits. So they absolutely could, like the Jesus Juice, you could study that. You just go back and read Jordy Chandler's account, read I always forget the second boy, Gavin's, read his account, read the earlier accounts that were out there, and you could come up with a credible story. I'm not saying it didn't happen to him. I really don't know. And I have no wish to traumatize little boys who were molested and then grew up and found the courage to talk about it. I'm just trying to be fair to Jackson, who's dead and unable to defend himself here, in pointing out you would be able to tell a credible story because the earlier allegations were not under seal. You could steal heavily from them and craft a story. And these two, apparently Wade Robson at Michael's 2005 trial was a star. Like, he wasn't just a witness, he was a star. And the prosecutor really tried to rattle him and get him to admit he did get molested, that Michael wasn't this upstanding.
Abuse was long past the statute of limitations. So the theory of their lawsuit was that Michael...
What the fuck just happened? Are you kidding me? I have to do this all over again? Oh. Oh. Sorry, no I don't. It switched over to my other screen. Sorry about that. I was about to flip the fuck out. So my next thing, hold on, I'm going to play the rest of this.
Michael Jackson's companies had been negligent in failing to prevent Michael Jackson from abusing them. And because the companies still exist and the estate still exists, that was the theory of the lawsuit. It was an extreme stretch. And the lawsuits were actually both dismissed. I believe that Wade Robson initially claimed something at $1.5 billion from Michael Jackson's estate and companies in his lawsuit, because he claimed that the abuse had made him unable to launch his show business career, which otherwise would have been extremely successful. So the lawsuits are a real stretch, and they are a money grab, and they were eventually dismissed. Now, California has updated its laws and...
All right, I think I played that one for you already. So now I'm getting ready to go to some of what Michael Jackson's lawyer had. Oh, wait, okay, here's a good one. Hold on. This is from Michael Jackson's bodyguard.
Wade wanted to ask permission to Michael. Could he get married at Neverland? Okay, now this was 2007. Yeah. So Michael died in 2009, something like that, 2006, 2007. So we asked Michael. Michael said, I've not been there for a while. It's not up to standards like it should be. Once it's back up to standards, because he's not been back there since the raid took place. He felt it wasn't a home for him anymore. Didn't want to go back. So it wouldn't look the part. So we just kindly declined it for now. And Wade was pretty persistent that I want to marry my fiance at Neverland, because for what it all means to me. And you think about it, right, Dodge? In 2012, he came out with these allegations that he was abused at Neverland. You know how I would want to get married at a place you get sexually abused at? And then what happened? And it's all out there in the mainstream media.
So basically what you're saying is he wanted to get married there, but after Michael died in 2009, in 2012, you're saying he then made allegations against Michael.
Exactly, him and James.
Why?
Well, I asked the lawyers this. I said to him, how can he go on oath and defend him on those 14 counts of Gavin Elisa and James Safechuck?
Yeah.
And now say I was abused too, or everything I said back then was a lie. And apparently in Los Angeles, there's like a 7-year statute of limitations. Like if you get past that, they can't come at you.
Yeah.
So he had to wait. He also performed at the tribute with Janet Jackson 2 weeks after Michael's death. And he did a big tribute in the book to him as well. Went to the funeral, and so forth. He danced there in tribute to him. Then he tried through Michael Jackson's estate to get in the Las Vegas show to be the main choreographer. He said, Michael would want me to do this. No one can do it better than me. Michael's taught me all of the dance moves, and the estate didn't want to use it. They just had someone else in mind. And he was angry about that because without Michael, there was no money coming in and so forth. So yeah, these 2012 it comes out. And then the program comes out. It's 4 hours long. If it takes 4 hours for you to get convinced that Michael Jackson's a child molester, then there's something seriously wrong. What they failed to mention in that documentary is both those guys in their mid-40s were suing the Michael Jackson estate for hundreds of millions of dollars. That wasn't mentioned. If that had been mentioned, I think people would have flicked the channel. Yeah. Well, I said nonsense. Or if it had been mentioned, they were the star witnesses in the cases back in 2005. They would have flicked the channel over. And then what turned out is the fans are amazing, Michael's fans. They got on it, and some private investigators got on it too. So James Safechuck accused Michael Jackson of sexually abusing him at the Neverland train station. He was very specific about that, inside the Neverland train station.
And how old would he have been then?
I'll tell you this, right? I can clear this up. So he was saying he was a young boy, 12, 13. Anyway, they dug out there was an issue. Elizabeth Taylor got married at Neverland to one of her many husbands. I can't remember which one it was. And there's an aerial shot. And it's shown Neverland, and there was no train station there. And that got an investigative journalist a bit suspicious, thinking, hang on a second. And he dug out the planning file. It turns out the train station wouldn't have been built until James Safechuck was about 27, 28. So you couldn't have been molested in a place that didn't exist. It wasn't even there. It wasn't even thought of. The planning application wasn't even in. Elizabeth Taylor shot shows you her marriage. There's no argument about that. There is no train station. And
and you see, again, another bullshit ass lie. So, since I've gotten this far, I know I'm going to go over an hour. So, I'm going to make a part 2 after this, so I can finish it up. So we are going to get to the bottom of this and sing along if you want. Stop pressuring me. Just stop pressuring me.